Is my hair a mess? Okay, so I try to leave the sunroof open
Yeah.
when I drive here, and then
It looks totally fine.
But what's funny is I'm still learning the fun art of not rolling my hair into the sunroof when I close it. It pulls my hair up. Like if you would see me driving down the road, my sunroof pulls my hair completely up. It's like up like this, pieces of it. And so usually I'm trying to, if somebody calls, because I have that hands-free calling, I will go to hit it and then I'm like, oh, I can't hear anything, so I go to close it. Because my hair is still
I can totally imagine this.
So I'm still
That's the funny thing about
practicing the art of how do you close your sunroof without taking your hair with it. You know, it's a different vehicle. Learning
You
is
just
a
have to
different
be
vehicle.
short like me, so it's never a problem reaching the roof.
And I love the hands-free calling, but I don't love that it goes there automatically. I love that word. So when I get a call, or I get in the car, or I get, I want to stay this way.
Yeah.
And then it automatically goes and there's a pause for a second.
Yeah. Yep. I called you when you were doing it one time. You're like, hello? Hello?
I'm not a fan of that. I'm just...
Oh, it was so funny. I was like, oh, she's definitely in her car. It took 20 seconds just to say hello to her. It's so funny.
It's some practice.
It's like, I just
First
think
world problems,
I was
seriously.
going to say, it totally is, but I'm always thinking like when my grandparents first got a cell phone. Like when they were trying to like connect and trying to be like, oh my gosh, there's no line.
This is the
But
similarity to me.
hello. No, it's not the same thing because you're doing hands-free calling. But my grandpa did get that pretty quickly, actually, after he got the whole cell phone thing down. He got hands-free calling pretty quickly.
I get it, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
I just don't love that it. But
It
the
takes a few
the
seconds,
sunroof
yeah.
right now is. I love
Yeah.
love the sunroof, but
I think one of the
literally it
greatest
pulls my
inventions-
entire hair. Like not all of it, but like pieces just go straight up and they're out. I'm sure when I'm driving down the road, people are
It's
like.
like hair going up.
And then I've also noticed how I didn't realize how many people have hands-free calling because I thought they were singing in the car. They're not. They're talking.
I think probably most people are talking to themselves.
I sing in the car.
I sing in the car, yeah.
I don't sing anywhere else public. Well, that's not really publicly, but
Yeah.
nowhere else.
I think one of the greatest inventions, though, with new sunroofs are the bug catchers. Does yours have that? The little thing, I have a little thing, mesh thing that pulls up, and it doesn't cover the whole thing, but it covers where the wind comes in from the front as I'm driving, and so it catches like bugs and stuff.
I bet mine doesn't have that.
Mine doesn't have that. Oh.
We are closing in on bug season,
Yeah,
and it will be.
I get welts, so I'm.
I know. I
apologize
just thought of you last night because I redid some space on my patio, and I was able to leave the patio door open without the screen, thinking, oh, no bugs yet. And then I was thinking, oh, soon there'll be all kinds of yuck. And then immediately I thought of you welting.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
misery.
you get very swollen and welted, so.
Do you use a good bug repellent?
I actually usually try not to go outside a whole lot, and when I do, I just go in the water. Like, I'm just on the water, so I don't hike in the summer, like where I normally hike, and I just in general don't like the summer either because the heat just really gets to me. And so I was actually mourning this weekend because it got like to 90 degrees, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing, and this is like whatever you believe, connectedness, or I just believe it, is God. But there's this this massive blooming tree, and it's outside of my church. And I was there on Sunday, and I was sitting outside as it was like 7 a.m. So it wasn't quite super hot yet. It was like 65, beautiful. It's like my dream temperature, beautiful. Well, it's white blossoms, and every time wind would come by, the leaves would fall, so it looked like it was snowing. And I was like. And I love the snow, so it was just a beautiful reminder. Like, it's gonna be okay. Like, you'll get through this. Snow is coming.
Seasons. It's a
Yep, it is.
I'm feeling all of that today with, this is Sean's last week of school. So I think I've been pushing down a lot of emotion and avoiding feeling it. So I'm like, if there's any song that comes on, I'm like, do not want to feel sadness. So, but really good things. I mean, he has, what did I write down this morning that I thought was so good? And this will be good for you, Hannah, too. Sean's last week of high school, feeling some of the emotions I've been putting off and pushing aside, beyond proud, but also a bit anxious for what's ahead. Kind of like how I've felt most of the time as a parent. Really beyond proud, but mostly anxious for what's ahead. And then it was such a great realization, because I've always felt like that there's been no reason to get caught up in the anxiousness, to let things happen. So that word of the year is helping me.
Presence. So my church has been in this series the last 3 weeks on Sabbath, and just this idea of we were made to work and work well, but also to rest, like our bodies need it. And so this last message was about how Sabbath, is restoration, and like if you don't regularly have this kind of rejuvenating rest, cancer will become your rest, disease will become your rest. It will become your Sabbath if you're not taking it. And like, not that a lack of rest necessarily causes that all the time, but it can definitely lead to that. And so what does like rest really mean? And like in our culture, we tend to just like numb or say like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna watch TV or go to a movie or things like that. But is that really life-giving rest? Like, is that filling back up your bucket rest? Right. And so really taking a look at what does that mean, and how, and one of the things I've been reflecting on really and learning about this and really practicing it, and I've been practicing this for a while, like a solid 24 hours of disconnecting, of not checking email, not going on social media. Like I've been practicing this for almost 2 years now, and it's been just incredible. And especially people are like, oh my gosh, I have such a busy life, how do I do this? And I'm like, I'm a testament that you can do this. Like, it's gonna be fine. You can be disconnected for a little while. But one of the things that I've really been reflecting on this is, and this is, regardless of your belief system, I'm sorry, this is like really religious right now and church-wise, but one of the things about the Sabbath, when you look at scripture, is there is no buying and selling on a Sabbath. And it can seem like something that's really legalistic, like, God, don't buy or sell or purchase anything on the Sabbath. But it's this whole mindset of being content with what you have. Uh-huh. Like, what you have is enough. And so it's just such a beautiful, like, I've really, like, been thinking about that and meditating on that as I've been practicing this, of, like, it's, where you're at is where you're at. And so to take a step back and be really mindful of that I have all that I need. Like, I don't need anything else. Like, my needs are met. I don't need to buy anything else. I don't need to consume. I don't need to be worried about what I don't have or what's up to come. Yeah. Like, what's next, because right now is what we have. And so just been a really great, like, reminder, even as we've been talking a lot about just being present and what does that really mean. It's just been a cool thing that I've really been thinking about lately.
There was an author that I read recently, and it might have been from the Simplify magazine, maybe, or somewhere else. Input says take it all. Untouchable day, having an untouchable day. And he started with like one time a month and then turned it into, I think, one time a week. But the focus is to be off your phone, away, just an untouchable day where you're not reachable. Yeah. And the thing that I was kind of thinking about with that is how, as a society culturally, busy is the new status symbol. It's the busier you are, the more
important you are, the more significant you are. Oh, yeah.
And how we're really shifting away from that, and how you're seeing shifts with phones. And I don't know if we talked about it here on Jen and Millie, if we talked about it, you and I, but Jack White's most recent concert was a phones-free concert. And, I think we're starting to see people shift away from, this is too much.
I think we talked about that because there's a lot of weddings that are like, we're doing an unplugged wedding, because you'll see wedding pictures and it's like, the photographer can't even get to the bride because everyone's like iPhone or iPad is like in the aisle.
Yes. Yeah. And my sister-in-law is a photographer, and she will tell you how difficult that is to try to get a photo of the bride, without people on their, you don't want that?
Yeah.
You want people looking ahead, and that's one of my favorite pictures that she took of me. It's actually just my shoes. I had some really cool heels, and it's my shoes on the planks of the deck outside 1316. And you can see other people's feet forward.
Yeah.
And so if she's trying to take that shot, like let's say the back of the dress or the back of the bride or whatever,
Yeah.
you want to see people looking forward.
Not looking through their phones, yeah.
But I get it. I mean, we just are, I was thinking about that the other day with every experience, you want to capture it.
Yeah.
And to have my MacBook die, I can tell you, you know, those things may be lost. I have everything backed up, I hope. But those things may be lost. And you just have to be here with your snapshot, you know, and to be in the moment. I see that a lot at concerts. I'm not a huge Jack White fan anymore, but I think it's impressive that he's doing that.
Yeah.
Because I think it allows people to be in music. The first time I heard that was at the Lumineers concert. And the lead singer was like, "Can you all just put your phones away?" I mean, then you just throw, yes. Sorry. You know, when someone calls you out from the stage, hello.
Yeah.
So on that note, this is what I did this weekend. This has become my new favorite thing, is to sketch out my deck space. And I sketched out my garden and I planted it exactly where I wanted things. And so I hardly said anything about it, but I was just like, you know, putting these things together and then like erasing and moving stuff around. And Mike said to me, "Should I get you an easel?" And I said, "What?" I mean, it was like completely different. He's building a meditation bench for me for our back patio, our back deck. And it's really going to be cool. It looks really, really, I like it already. But he was using up all this leftover wood from the deck project. And he said, "Would you like me to build you an easel?" And I'm like, what? You know, like, I'm not, where's this coming from? And he said, "Well, I've been seeing you sketching all day." He's like, I go, "Well, don't look at what it is. This isn't like I'm sketching you."
A beautiful sunset or anything. It's like,
I'm like, it's a list of
it's
all the
mostly
things
words.
I want to have. Yeah. And so I strength spotted my input.
Yeah.
That I actually can use it this way
Yep.
and would
That's
prefer
good.
to use it with words. So, and I finished this
Yeah.
and it was awesome. It was, and look at my little,
I was gonna say, are those quotes or?
do you see this?
Yeah.
Highlighter.
Oh, Allie, we got those in like middle school.
Well, not me. This was in at National Mentoring Summit. This was in one of our little like goodie bags. This is the best thing that's happened to me in a long, long time. So now all my notebooks have pink things sticking out of them.
Are you a person that would appreciate color coding? You color code as you reflect in your journal, right?
Yes, with highlighters.
With highlighters. Would color coding flags
Maybe.
be revolutionary to your world?
Oh
as
man,
well?
I'd have to have a fanny pack.
Little pocket protector.
Yeah. Excuse me, I need this color. Anyway,
wait,
this.
hold on to your quote. I gotta get my orange pen
Oh,
out.
not a yellow. So this was wonderful, and I totally agree with those who said that it was one of the most meaningful reads of my life, probably. Read it. This is my newest. And we talked a little bit about this. We took the online quiz. No surprise to anyone, but Tess is a rebel, according to Gretchen Rubin. And Gretchen Rubin's parents are from North Platte.
Yep,
I
shout
learned
out.
that on a John O'Leary podcast with Gretchen. She wrote The Happiness Project. This is really interesting about the ways that people build habits. So Tess is a rebel, meaning don't tell Tess what to do. Do not tell Tess what to do.
Tell me the opposite of what you want me to do. Then I may do it if I don't read through the BS. Like, right.
And I am a questioner. So
Which is no surprise either.
No surprise. Which means I will not bring a habit here until I've researched it here, until there's value here. So you can tell me that something is really, really great and wonderful, but then I'm going to go do my research about it. So everybody falls into like 4 different categories. Anyway, what I loved about this, I mean, seriously, and then you're rebel. That is individualization, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then I loved the piece about faith-based and how it tied then into
Yeah, there
the
was this whole
Enneagram.
section about, yeah.
It totally tied into the
It's-
Enneagram.
It was kind of crazy. When I was
Synchronicity is what that's
Oh,
called.
okay. I call it crazy. Where was it? I don't know. Anyway, so it was in the 4 tendencies, and it talked about how most pastors are likely to be rebels, which was so interesting.
I thought it was really good. So we'll talk a little bit more about this. We have other people that have taken, you're either an upholder, a questioner, an obliger, or a rebel. But then she also kind of dives into what kind of a purchaser you are on that note. Like if you are an overbuyer or an underbuyer, how you like to spend your time, what you value. Are you promotion focused or prevention focused? I think I say let's take preventative steps more than any other phrase. Maybe other than what am I missing? Do you like to take small steps or big steps? So a finisher or an opener?
Familiarity lover or novelty lover.
And I was reading some of these, simplicity or an abundance. And I'm like, well, why can't I be both? And some of them I am. So this has been a really good, interesting read. And then you'll notice there's a new notebook.
Matches your sweater perfectly.
It does.
It's the exact shade.
I didn't even mean to do that.
But look how happy she is.
But look
that
how
she
it
did.
So, and it has dividers in it.
It has tabs already pre-made.
And I got it on clearance.
Better.
This was seriously like less than $2. And so now in the back, this is so input. I have I'm now using note cards. So when I want to kind of think on like a concept that we talk about,
Yep.
and I want to think on it, or I want to spend more time thinking about it, or there's a quote, so then I have a section here for quotes.
Purple.
This is the wrong section.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, I need to do this. In here. Okay, so this was my simple abundance this morning, and I loved it. I think this is one for us to reflect on. We are all given a choice each day. We can react negatively to the demands made on us, or we can choose to live abundantly, to transform the negative into the meaningful.
That's good. Good word.
So, quotes, more things. I actually had a whole page tagged for Jen and Millie stuff. John O'Leary asked 7 questions in each one of his podcasts.
Okay. The same 7 questions?
Yes, to their interviewee.
Okay.
So my,
Talked a lot about books before.
let's do House on Fire.
Okay.
Tess,
No, you answer. You've had lot longer
Oh.
time with the questions, so I feel like you should answer first of all, I think. And so all the people you love are out, right? Is
Yeah.
that what they said? So one item. Can it be a category of items?
Hannah, what do you think?
I would.
You're the
If
mediator.
somebody can't say a one item, also do pets count? Like, are they already out of the
Yeah,
house?
pets are out too.
Okay, pets are out too.
Yeah.
You grab Mario.
Yeah.
I was like, Mario would be number 1 before Justin. He can get out of there himself.
Fend for yourself,
You
man.
can do it yourself, but I would probably category. I think is fine. It depends on like what it is.
How big is your wingspan?
Say, yeah, I feel like the next question is how much.
My first thought initially on this question, when I was listening to it, was, what would I not have on me? Because her response, Gretchen Rubin's response, was her cell phone. And then that bothered me.
Oh yeah. I don't care less about my phone.
Well, it bothered me that I would have it on me probably. But now since we have a landline, I could call 911 from that.
Yeah.
You should see how many times that phone rings. We get telemarketing calls now all the
All
time.
the
Mike's
time.
like, why do we get this thing? Then I thought about my records, and I don't have a wingspan, and I could not choose.
Yeah.
Probably photos. They're precious to me. And books.
And
I'm kind of a minimalist, so there's not much in my house
Yeah.
that I would be willing to. I would be willing to let Mike's boat that's in the garage burn.
gladly let the boat burn.
It's now taking up, I can put my kayak on top of it, I guess. It's taking over the left-hand side of the garage. However, I should not complain because that means I still have the right hand of the garage. But I'd let that burn. Everything else, I think
I
it'd
don't
be
think
hard.
that was the question.
Sorry.
What would you let burn?
What would you choose?
Can you do that question instead?
Wasn't
What
there
would
a
you
choice
set
about
on fire?
positively or negative?
That's right,
What
Allison.
about the choice about positive or negative? Come on, people.
Allison.
Said that I'm the one that's centering us here.
It's Monday. It's Monday and I have to go to the dentist. I'm having a hard time saying positive. I'm thinking about.
But you have a choice. It's your choice whether or not
It
to
is.
react positively or negatively according to that quote.
I would choose my photos.
Yeah.
How about you, Tess?
I was going to tell you you'd choose your photos. I knew she would choose it.
Well, it speaks to your Generation X too, because
Yeah.
millennials.
I don't
all
have
photos are on
photos.
here. Yeah.
Oh.
Whereas your kids all grew up before we had,
Mhm.
you know, cell phones, and you know, like what they are now.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, I was thinking of two things. Both I don't really have the wingspan for. Like my first thing that came to mind was all my journals.
Yeah.
Like I would have a really hard time parting with my own like thoughts and reflections because at least I don't know, leading with context, but also like, you know, we've talked a little bit about this. My memory is kind of weird where I can't just recall full on quotes, but if I like can reread my own words, then things are jogged in my memory, and then I usually can go back to that. So I feel like I would want that. But I have a lot of journals because I've been journaling for a long time.
Maybe you should get those
So-
in a fireproof safe.
I feel like I should.
That's
that would
wise.
be a very large safe.
Like a gun safe.
Would you do a gun safe and you open it up and it's like, wait, what the? People are gonna be like,
What a gun safe, man.
Yeah, what too?
Oh, volume one. So why they're precious? Seriously, they are. One of my friends has all of her grandmas, and she's reading them. And actually, they're from like the calendar date book. So every day she wrote 1 or 2 sentences.
Yeah, you'd say that. So
I mean,
I
seriously.
know. It's just like for me, I just feel like I have grown and learned so much, just already in my life, and I know there's so much more of that to come. And so I don't very often read back through them, but I have the ability. I have more of a photographic memory than a
Yes, you
written
do.
memory, and so I can tell you which notebook it was in, which journal it was in, about where it was at, and if it was on the right side or the left side of the page.
And where my keys are.
And where your keys are. So I can like visually remember that, but I can't remember exactly what was written. So I have to go back to it to recall what I wrote and what I was feeling and what I was reflecting upon. But I know exactly where it is. And so it's almost like a reference for
You
me
haven't
now.
read this yet.
I haven't. I have the book, but I haven't
So
read it yet.
part of being processed at the concentration camp was to give up all of your belongings, and he had his manuscript in a pocket, and he speaks about that, and how powerful that was, how to let that go. You will love this. But I've thought about that a bunch of times, and also I strength spotted him with I don't think we ever really meant to, or maybe we did mean to start the hashtag thing. So whenever we start seeing somebody, like during a staff meeting or whatever, and we notice the strengths, I'll look over at her and I'm like, and we know exactly which one it is. The conversation, we need to let them have some wins. I was like, competition. But listen to this on context. Instead of possibilities in the future, realities in the past, the potentialities that you have actualized, the meanings you have fulfilled, the values you have realized, is something that nobody can ever remove these assets from you. So that's what he held on to, is that he had the memory of what he had written. He also, had all these different memories. And then I think maybe he's one of those amazing people that also had futuristic.
Yeah.
Which sometimes I think, where is it for you?
It's 33 out of 34. It's okay. It's strategic. My strategic is forward
Yeah.
facing. It's about decisions to come next.
And the
So it can look
adaptability
like
too.
that. Yeah.
Because I think you do a really remarkable job thinking about your future. But it probably is your strategic.
Yeah. Because I think there's a difference because, and even I was listening to season 4 of Theme Thursday, that's this year's season, and they're talking about success indicators and potential of each strength, and they're talking about adaptability and how that can either be forward-facing, that can be a forward-facing a little bit because it's predicting all of the elements, like all of the things happening right now, to what might be coming next in order to prepare for the changes that might happen. But strategic also is thinking about all of the potential, like what if is the question of strategic. It's even in the long definition, what if, select, strike. And so that kind of blend can look forward facing, but I think there's a difference because strategic is filtering through all the possibilities. I could do this, or like when, I finish my master's and make this change to the way that we collect data or research and think about these people I need to have on my team. It's all of the elements that you're filtering through, whereas futuristic is more about this is the end goal I see.
Right.
So I'm filtering through the options I have now to choose the one that is going to get me on that trajectory, that is going to keep me to that one place in the future. I have no idea what that one place in the future looks like. And like when I was doing my own, the accelerated coaching course, we did individual coaching with another person that was going through the class, and I described it to my coach, and I was like, I just feel like it's a black hole. I have no idea. I don't have an actualized picture of what that looks like. I have these immediate decisions, and I have all of these fuzzy potential realities, but that's what they are. I don't give value to that. I don't say this is where I want to be, this is what position I want to be in, or this is what my personal life I want it to look like. I don't weight that. Whereas I think people with futuristic are like, this is what I want. I want to be married, I want 2 kids, I want this job, with this degree, with this salary. None of that. I don't have any.
So back to your notebooks. When you think about the majority of the thoughts that are in there, are they forward facing?
No, they are not.
Okay.
They are mostly reflective because I practice a daily examen. And so, which is a Jesuit spirituality exercise of reflecting back through the day and thinking about the high points, the low points, and then where you saw God through it. And so it's all reflective in nature. There are a few things where I usually write out prayers. And so I don't have to because my mind, when I overthink things, I can easily get off topic. So I write out prayers. So those are often forward facing about what's going to happen. And most of the forward facing things are about people in my life and change that are going on in their life, not about my life necessarily. So yeah, I think that it's when it's not reflecting on the day or reflecting on the week, it's usually questions I'm wrestling with. So it's not forward facing. Which is so my strength. Well, the other thing I was going to say was my grandparents gave me their 1950 GE console turntable that is just insanely beautiful, and I think for me has so much sentimental meaning because it was my grandparents' very first purchase after they got married. And so I think that was the other thing. I was like, but I honestly feel like I get more return on investment by saving my journals than I do by saving that.
That's when I was thinking about my wingspan, because I, as a minimalist practice, if it doesn't bring me joy to look at or bring meaning and purpose to my life, it doesn't belong in my space and my energy.
Yeah.
So if you're in my house and there's something there, it's because I feel positively about it.
Yeah.
If it's something I don't love, it's in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think it would be really hard. I cannot imagine what that would be like. And when he said that, I thought, that would be very, very difficult.
I don't think so.
To have your house burned down?
I mean, I do not mean to minimize anybody who has walked through that, but I feel like for me, if I had my journals and maybe the console turntable, I could let everything else burn. Totally fine. Start, and maybe that is my strength, my adaptability or my strategic. I'm it would almost be freeing to rid yourself of the weight of possession and accumulation. And I just have so much stuff and I have a hard time of letting go of it. I think because of context, because I'm maybe I'll use it at one time. At one time it was useful, or at one time I wanted to purchase it. But half the time I don't use any of the stuff I have.
Have you ever practiced
No.
have you used this in the last year?
So I'm doing that. I do that with my wardrobe all the time. I turn the hangers backwards, and then I just went through and got rid of a bunch of stuff. But like even then, it was like, you know, I still have a ton of stuff that I know I could get rid of, but like, oh, I technically used this in the last year, you know, can justify it. Or I'll wear this shirt so that I can keep it because then I've worn it in the last year. You know, it would almost, and that seems, I don't know, maybe counterintuitive or countercultural, I don't know, but I think it would be like freeing to have, because I can't emotionally or mentally let go of the things I have, but if it was done for me in that kind of situation, I feel like there would be almost release from there. To say, okay, well, I'm going to be really intentional about how I reaccumulate, how I reconsume. If it's fair trade, if it's minimalist, if it's like, I know a lot of friends that do a minimalist wardrobe, and I just have not gotten to that point, but they do. I have 5 shirts and a couple pants, and
Makes travel simple.
You know, yeah. Which I can do that when I travel very easily. I can do minimalist, but not in everyday life. You know, it's just weird.
Right.
It's this.
I think going through divorce and losing my home,
Yeah.
that gave me the chance to start over
Yeah.
because I had to. So I had everything that I was going to take with me in basically a vehicle. So to kind of think back to that, not the same as having a house fire, but having that, what do I really need?
Yeah.
And then just it's a lot, we all collect a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said about that. I mean, look at all the TV shows about hoarding, and I mean, I watch some of those and I'm like, but the physical and emotional pain that people are experiencing in parting with stuff. And that's, I think, become part of, along with busyness, stuff is kind of our
Oh yeah.
status.
Definitely.
So, and my husband is he loves his stuff and keeps a lot of stuff and doesn't want to part with a lot of stuff. And I do, is this of importance? Ooh, chemical. And he's like explaining to me what it is. So last night we're looking at the garage. Here's this boat now, and then all these things. I've also started a list of things that bother me that really shouldn't. Everyone should start that list.
That's good.
Things that bother you that really shouldn't, and then why do they?
Yep.
So the garage is at the top. And he's like, I think I'm going to take this big shelf out. And I'm like, and put it where? He has all these paint cans at the top. And then I'm like, what's in here? And he's explained to me, what's in here? What's in here? What's in here? Well, this is for this part that's this, and I'm like, and I can just feel myself like, oh, I just want to take it. I tried to throw away his old water boat shoes. They were like waterproof boat shoes, and he dug them out of the trash. And I did it really like inconspicuously. I was just like, oh, accidentally. And he dug them out, and from then on, there's no accidental tossing of anything. Because he is not a person who, he had a t-shirt on yesterday. I said, tell me how old that is. Is it older than 1980? It's 1990. A shirt. You know how long ago that is? Like we all
I was born.
It is. But he doesn't part well with those things. And I'm trying really hard to understand that because it's just different.
But I think there's a difference between his approach, which is attaching sentimental and historical meaning to it, and what you were talking about of assigning of status from possessions. And I think that is much, this one is much internal and this one is external.
Absolutely.
So this one is what, historically, I mean, he's been through a lot.
Yes.
And I'm sure a lot of these things are markers, memories of his parents, memories of whatever it might be that are assigned to these tangible things, which we know can trigger memories from research, tangible things or smells or sounds. But then this one is this first world problems like we were talking about. And when you think about it, it's interesting when you think, we talk a lot, there's this incredible training, I think it's on the MRL, the Mental Resource Library online, about poverty and poverty mindset. So people, it'd be so easy. It's so easy to look at someone in poverty when they make irrational purchases and say, why are you doing
Yes.
that? You know, there is a mindset of poverty, and you can hear Tammy Winchester does the training, and you hear her talking about this poverty mindset of scarcity, of I have all these funds, so I need to use them now. But there's also something that if I purchase some extravagant thing, it's some semblance of I have status,
Yes.
I have reputation within this society. You see a lot of people, and in my hometown we had a very large Somali population in my hometown in Minnesota, and they would live in these tiny little shacks, rundown houses, but they would buy a Cadillac vehicle, or they would buy a Lincoln or Mercedes and drive it around, because that was what they wanted to be known by, and that was something they could be seen going in, like entering in and out of the vehicle at the post office, at the grocery store. And so there's something to be said too about that.
And Tammy talks a lot about the fleeting, when you're in those situations, there's so much that can change in a heartbeat. That you may want the vehicle so you could sell the vehicle if you had to.
Yeah,
You may
yeah.
want the vehicle so you can depend on the vehicle because you can't depend on
Yeah.
a landlord or an
Yeah.
apartment. But also she talks about how we take vacations for well-being, and those in poverty don't have that option.
No.
They need a reset kind of
Yeah.
button, and sometimes it's through those
Mhm.
purchases.
Mm.
I miss her already. She's such a great
Yeah,
trainer.
she is.
And so back to that piece about intrinsic, external, she talks about that in here. How you go about making habits. So the
Yeah.
rebel, the questioner, the obliger, I mean, you're either motivated intrinsically or
Yeah.
you're motivated, through external sources. So an obliger is motivated,
External sources.
yes,
Rebel is all internal.
all internal.
Yep.
Which then again, makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
if you can't wrap your head around it, it doesn't matter how many people are telling you that. And for me, mine is a blend of both.
Mm.
Because I need the extrinsic proof
External, yeah.
and I need the intrinsic belief in it.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
if I read something, I have to find the reason to believe in it.
Yeah.
It's not just an
Yeah.
obliger, it's through external.
External.
Mhm.
Oh.
So
Interesting. So we'll
this will be good.
We'll pin that to the worth mentioning board on Pinterest.
There's a little quiz you can take.
And a little quiz you can take with it. That's good. What do we want to leave people with?
Did I see that you tagged me in a Facebook status about the friend
Yeah.
that does
Loves
all
personality
personality tests?
tests.
You bet I do. Taken which is not what Strengths is, but
No.
I've taken back in the day, they used to be in the back of magazines.
Hmm.
And then you'd A, B, C, and then you'd figure out how many A's you were, how many B's you were, how many C's. Now it's, online you can figure out what Muppet you are, all the kinds of things. But this was, I love kind of looking at that,
Yeah.
how we,
And I think if you use strength as your foundation, I think all of the different assessments build off of it so well. We talked in the last episode a little bit about the Enneagram and how blended, if you use strengths as your basis, because this is reputably proven and valid in terms of statistically proving based on research. I mean, it's just
Right.
incredible how accurate this is from a non-biased perspective. It's when you use this as your base, everything like this is just an incredible way to build off of it and even flesh out the layers even more. So as we were talking about you being a questioner, I mean, when you then connect that to your strengths approach, it's your input in action, it's your communication in action, and you then connecting to your heart, your empathy in action. And so when you look at, this idea of being a rebel, individualization, even strategic, even my context that says, I know a better way to do this, and because I previously done something like it.
and
When you-
adaptability.
Mhm. Oh, definitely. So when you use strengths as your basis, I think we don't want to seem like, and I don't think we ever have like exclusionary that this
Right.
is the only thing you ever need to know about
Right.
yourself. But I think that other things can help really flesh out some of the details that can get caught with any assessment, with any personality structure or type that tends to box people in. When you use this as your base and then use other tools to help flesh out some of those details, flesh out some of those gray areas, I think it's just incredible, because we could easily look at and say, well, how do I form habits based on my strengths?
Right.
And it probably would
Yes.
lead to something
Yes.
like that. It just gives us more language and insight into those things.
And it helps me to own them. It helps
Yeah.
me to own these because sometimes this something else can give me more insight as to how input looks on me.
Yeah.
I think what I'd like to leave people with is, what do we do next? So Hannah is going to be going on maternity, and we are going to miss her tremendously, and her giggles in the background. What's our next step?
Yeah.
During Hannah missing time, Hannah baby time, do we do a podcast? Do we try to do Facebook Live? Seriously, that could be a disaster. Do we try something different? I would love to hear from our viewers what they think we should give it a go. We both listen to podcasts like crazy.
Oh, I love podcasting. Yeah.
I think we could try.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to look as good for.
Yeah, that would be really nice. I was thinking this morning of what I haven't worn. I was trying to remember.
I
all
did
the-
that last night.
I was trying to remember everything I wore.
I did that last night because I was like, am I
Duplicate
wearing
my
the same
outfits.
shirt?
That's what I woke up this morning. I was like, gosh,
I
I
did
think I
this.
wore the same thing I wore last time. So I changed this morning.
So maybe we should go to podcast so that you and I don't go out and purchase new clothes for a while.
yeah, that'd be really
Big
nice.
minimalist step.
Yeah.
Do you know how to do a podcast?
Sure, we'll figure it out.
Could you teach us?
We'll figure it out.
So, or if you guys would like to see us on Facebook Live, what are the other options? Do you know anything else?
Well, I was thinking someone thought about us having our own Jenna Millie Instagram, and we could do Instagram live videos too, and Instagram stories with questions.
Instagram Live? Instagram has live too.
Yep.
Instagram and Facebook are kind of owned by the same company.
It's the exact same software, yeah. Instagram
Okay.
has live features within their story features, so.
So when I see, no. Okay. When I see your stories, they're not live.
No, it'll say live at the top.
Okay.
If it is
Okay.
live.
This shows the Jen and Millie right here, Generation X
I
and
know, but I
Millennial.
want to learn Instagram so bad because people are doing cool things that
Yes,
I don't know
but
how.
Well,
that's
this could be
question
your growth
for-
mindset way of learning.
Okay.
So that could be something like if you guys would follow us or would think that would be beneficial. I think it would be interesting to even see because it's more interactive than email, where you have to reply to an email. It could be great to encourage comments right on Instagram posts or things like that. So that could be an idea. We could go a whole lots of ways. We can continue to record this. We can't promise it will be as nicely edited, but we can continue to do this format as well. So we just want to make sure we're meeting you guys where you're at in terms of what's the best way to continue these strengths conversations.
Okay. Instagram, podcast, what were the other things we talked about? Facebook Live?
Facebook Live.
It's kind of the same thing.
No. Well, no, they're very different platforms, and so we use for different purposes. But
Okay. Well, let's ponder.
let's ponder.
I would like to see us do something with social media because it would really stretch me.
Yeah.
And I would love to learn how to do a podcast.
Yeah.
That would also really stretch me.
Really stretch you.
Yeah.
And then I want to hear people's answer to the fire question as well. So if every living thing was safe, what would be the one thing that you would take away? And then the one thing that you would let burn. If you had one thing that you're like, oh, let it burn. Let the boat burn.
Sorry, Mike.
Yeah. It's okay. Does he even watch us?
Not usually.
Okay, we're fine.
However, this will be the time
This will
that
be
he
the one that
does.
he does. Like, saw that Jeff Miller the other day.
Oh, I'm going to be paying attention to the boat. That isn't how he sounds.
Not at all. Your impersonation of Mike is so good. Oh, I'm going to pay attention to the boat.
I told a story the other night from his perspective, and the guy I was talking to goes, you just did a version of Mike that was absolutely perfect. I'm like, really? He said, yeah, your facial expressions and everything. I was like, good. Okay, so I'll send the Gretchen quiz and the fire question.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.